About 6.5 million Americans have Alzheimer's disease. According to the Alzheimer's Association, more than 400,000 of them are in New York.
But the debilitating disease affects far more people than just those who have it. It can hit family, friends, and caregivers very hard as someone's mind slips away.
And today is World Alzheimer's Day, and here to tell us about the disease and the latest research is Meg Boyce. She is Vice President of Programs and Services of the Alzheimer's Association Hudson Valley chapter. So Meg, good morning to you. Thanks for being here on PIX11.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So many of us know exactly what Alzheimer is, and hopefully none of us have to really experience anybody, a loved one, who has to go through this. But let's talk about the root cause of Alzheimer's. What exactly is it?
Well, we're not exactly quite sure yet, which is what makes the research a little difficult. Alzheimer's disease are actual physical changes that happen in the brain. There's actually two hallmarks of the disease. One are amyloid plaques, which is a sticky plaque that builds on the outside of our neurons, our brain cells. And then there are tangles, or tau, as we call it, which are little kind of strings that kind of develop inside the brain cell, which kill the brain cell off. So, we are moving forward, and it's very exciting what's happening in research. But this is what takes it so much time, is really trying to find that root cause, and that root cause, I think, can be, can happen due to a multiple number of reasons. Of course, the largest risk factor is age. As we age, we are at an increased risk of developing the disease. But the actual root cause, we're still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, but that's just it, though. As we age, we become forgetful. Sometimes we forget names. So how do we differentiate just the normal process of aging and then significant warning signs of having Alzheimer's?
Well, at the Alzheimer's Association, we actually have 10 warning signs that we encourage our constituents to know. I'm just going to touch on a few of them today. The first one is memory loss that really, disrupts daily life. So somebody's inability to get through their day-to-day activities. Problems with word finding. Sometimes that's the first sign families notice. Could be poor judgment. So somebody who usually is very careful with their money is suddenly spending very frivolously. Withdraw from social situations. And that's because more often than not, they know that they're experiencing something changing in their memory, and they don't want to put themselves in a position where their memory is going to be questioned. And then the last one, which also most families see before the memory issues, is change in mood and personality. Someone who's usually very easygoing suddenly is becoming easily agitated.
Yeah, and so it's really the loved ones who are the ones who notice it first, right? And that's why some doctors diagnose people with early onset Alzheimer's. So are there promising treatments then to prevent it from getting worse that are being worked on?
There are. We currently have a couple of exciting treatments that we're hoping will be approved by the FDA over the next year. We do have some medications right now that help with the symptoms, but they don't necessarily slow the progression. We do have one new medication, the Aduhelm, that actually has been shown to actually slow the progression. And that's the first generation of those types of medications. And there are 3 that are currently in the pipeline to be approved over the next year that fall within that same type of medication that will be able to slow the progression. And that's going to make a huge difference. I think what's really exciting, though, is there are lifestyle factors that we are now doing more research on that show that if we do certain things now, we can actually, kind of save our brain.
Yeah, what can we do to prevent it?
Yes.
Yeah, what are some of those exercises and preventative measures that we can do?
Smoking cessation is one, because the impact of that on the heart, our heart and brains are very closely connected. Also, sleep is a big one. We got to make sure we get our 8 hours of sleep. That allows our brain to rest. Exercise is key, but there's a great research study that just came out that shows that it doesn't necessarily have to be rigorous exercise. This study had a group that did rigorous exercise and another group that did basically stretching exercises. And at the end of that research study, both groups had their cognitive abilities at the same level and they did not decline at all.
Wow.
But exercise is key. Also eating. We talk about the Mediterranean diet, the MIND diet, the DASH diet. Another study that just came out was on junk food, eating ultra processed foods, and how, you know, eating large amounts or even just 20% of your diet coming from ultra processed foods can actually put you at a higher risk of developing some form of dementia.
All very interesting. And thank you so much for being here on World Alzheimer's Day. We're out of time, though, Meg. We could talk about this for a while, but thank you for being here to talk about this. Meg Boyce of the Alzheimer Association Hudson Valley chapter. Have a good day, okay?
You too.